Hey guys, quick video for a wee monthly review for the channel. Also, we had a package arrive, so I'll open that and talk about a couple of stories that have been making the news in the rugby world as well. I will start with the jersey. It arrived the day before yesterday, and yeah, it's from Ali. She sent this to me. Her team has recently had a new life in terms of Super Rugby appearances. It is from the Sea of Blue, which is a group of Western Force supporters. It is a current season, because the one I've got is definitely not current. It's a Western Force jersey. It's even got the Rapid Rugby logo on it. That's awesome. I've never had much of a chance to see some Rapid Rugby. I've seen a little bit of it, but yeah, very slick jersey. Western Force. I wanted the blue one when I was looking for a Western Force jersey to go with the current Super Rugby AU season. I wanted a blue one, but I couldn't find one my size. But this is awesome. A proper Sea of Blue Paladin Western Force jersey. What can I say? I like it. I like the Sea of Blue. Very passionate group of supporters out from Western Australia, so that is awesome. Ali, thank you so much for sending that through. It looks like there's even a hat in there to go with that as well, which is just fantastic. It'll go with that big old noggin of mine. But yeah, thank you so much, Ali. I know you're, like I said, a pretty passionate Western Force supporter. And they haven't picked up any wins yet, but they've been bloody close at least 3 of the 4 games. So I think most of us neutrals are wishing them the best for the remainder of the AU season. And we'll see what happens with the Force going forward. Who knows what's going to happen with the future of Super Rugby. That one is very much up in the air. But it's certainly pleasing to have those guys back. A big thanks to all the people who are watching the channel. You guys for watching the vids, for liking, subscribing, and commenting, all that jazz. It really makes the things I do very worthwhile. Gazza and I, if you've seen him on some of the live streams or his recent video on the Wallabies, yeah, he loves it as well. He loves the engagement with you guys, and he knows a lot of the regulars by their usernames on YouTube, which is also very cool. Special thanks also to all the supporters on Patreon. I do put out a bit of extra content on Patreon, so if you guys, I know it's not the best time in terms of the finances around the world, but if you're in a position which is financially able, have a look at the link in the description below. Yeah, basically any support you can throw my way is also much appreciated, and I tend to spend money that goes in there on stuff back for the channel, which is also kind of cool to help it grow along. But these people here, these are the people who have been supporting me on Patreon, and like I said, that is really appreciated. I know the whole world's gone to heck at the moment, but the fact that there are still people willing to support the channel this way really means a lot. In terms of the channel vids, the most popular vid I did in the month of July was the one comparing Super Rugby AU and Super Rugby Aotearoa. I'll see if I can put the link there if you haven't seen it. But I basically looked at the first couple of rounds from both competitions to see statistically if there were any major differences, because a lot of people were calling out the AU competition for not being that good. And the main difference I found was the scrums. And that might be a topic we have to look at a bit more going forward as to the actual ball and play time, as that seems to be a bit of a time sink for a lot of the games that, the games that we love watching, a lot of the time spent watching guys stand around doing nothing. So I think that's probably a good topic for a video at some point. But that video did pretty well. People were interested in that. And I ended up doing, I think, 40 videos. Jeez, that's a lot of videos. 40 videos on YouTube, 11 on Patreon, if my count is correct. I just quickly added them up. The Patreon stuff was like I had a look at a club rugby game, took my drone and my camera and did a little bit of filming around to give a look at a club rugby game here in New Zealand. I've taken the camera and whatnot, not the drone, but the camera to a couple of games here, like Eden Park and the one down in Hamilton. Did vids on that for Patreon as well. and the MLR franchise in Hawaii, potentially, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's fun, and yeah, a little bit of extra content there as well. So didn't even include the live streams, man. Jeez, I did live streams as well. So the live streams are fun. Like I said, Gaz is often here for the live streams, my dad, and yeah, it's fun having him along for those as well. I know he really, really, really enjoys them. So yeah, thanks to you guys subscribing, watching, liking, all that jazz, and the Patreon people especially. Thank you for the support. Moving on to a couple of news things. One of them is about Phil Kearns. Phil Kearns is not the most popular chap, at least. He kind of a bit of a bag of hot air sometimes, that man. But yeah, he's the lead for the 2027 Rugby World Cup bid for Australia to host the Rugby World Cup. He's been appointed as executive director, so I'm sure that's a pretty sweet gig for him. I'm hoping he can do a good job. I know he's got a bit of a background in terms of like management and whatnot, so hopefully he can definitely add something. He's certainly a good talker, and hopefully he doesn't talk us out of sending the World Cup to Australia. I know the other options. I think it was initially Argentina, but they've pulled out, and then Russia. So that's going to be, where do you go? Do you go with a traditional home of rugby that's maybe not been doing as well in recent years in terms of engagement? A World Cup would certainly be a boost in the arm, but we're still talking 7 years down the line. Or Russia, who, as an underdog at the World Cup, is always a bit of a darling for neutrals to support. So, yeah, I don't know. You guys let me know what you reckon. Russia or Australia? I don't think there are any other major bidders, but I could be mistaken. And lastly, Jamie Roberts has joined the Dragons, hence the Dragons jersey I'm wearing, which is a bit of a cool news. Like, he's a bit of a journeyman now by this point in his career, isn't he? He's been around the block. What leagues has he not played in? He's certainly done it all, hasn't he? So, yeah, I mean, interesting. I read that he said his love of the game was born on the terraces of Rodney Parade, which is where the Dragons play. So that was a bit of news to me. Obviously, I didn't know that part of his background. I've never read that deep into his kind of growing up. I've only known him since probably I first saw him when he was coming onto the scene for Wales, basically as a big blockbusting young midfielder. So, yeah, but he's had quite the career for Wales, and he's been around the block. But it seems like he's back in Wales now, and apparently playing for a club which is very special to his heart, which is cool to see. You like to see guys when they kind of round out their career that they get to play for a team that really means a lot to them. I mean, the guys played for Cardiff, Racing 92, Quins, Bath, the Stormers in Super Rugby, and now he's back in Wales with Dragons. So, he's played pretty much everywhere: France, England, Wales, Super Rugby in South Africa. So, yeah, it's disappointing that the season got called off for him with the Stormers, because the Stormers he was playing for were doing pretty well, and I know he was a very popular figure down in Cape Town. So, yeah, bit of a disappointing one. But hey, bro, global pandemic, man. Rugby stuff certainly secondary to everything else. But yeah, still a bit of a good news story. I mean, there's been a few other guys signed. I know from a New Zealand point of view, Matt Duffy is signed to go to Japan, so he's leaving the Blues. Ben Smith can go to Japan. Who was the other one? There was one more. Oh, Aaron Cruden. Aaron Cruden's going to Japan as well. So a few guys going to Japan for the next top league season, which is, yeah, kind of a good move as well. And hoping Japanese rugby can keep on the up as well. I think most of us, with them going to play with the Six Nations teams at the end of this year in that one-off tournament, you've got to keep that interest up in Japanese rugby, I think, especially from Japanese supporters. Finally, I have been doing live streams on a Wednesday. So during lockdown, when there was no rugby on, we were watching historical games. It's mostly Wednesday nights here in New Zealand. I've been doing those the last few weeks. I'm not going to do one tonight because I got plans with the missus, so I'm going to call off tonight's one. But yeah, most nights, if you want to join in, I know it's pretty tough for people depending on time zones, but mostly in the evening here in New Zealand, watching some old historical games. Not that old, but just games that you might not otherwise sit down and watch. So any suggestions you guys have got for games to watch in those Wednesday live streams, drop them in the comments. I already had a few suggestions from people in the last live stream on a Wednesday with Scotland against Argentina 2011, Gloucester Munster, that 2003 game. Munster Biarritz, a couple of Munster suggestions. Yeah, Leinster Scarlets, lots of good suggestions. Doesn't necessarily just have to be internationals. We have mostly been doing internationals, but happy to watch a little bit of anything. So yeah, that's pretty much it from me. I think once I get a few top suggestions for those potential Wednesday live streams, I will chuck the options into a poll for the Patreon people, and they can pick which game we are going to watch. But yeah, like I said, thank you again to Ali for the Western Force jersey. I'm going to go try this on straight after the stream. It does look very, very slick and feels pretty nice as well. Quite a nice soft fabric. And yeah, thanks to all you guys for tuning into the channel. Gaza and I certainly appreciate it, as I said, and to the Patreon people, again, thank you for the continued support. That is awesome. I hope you guys enjoy the little bit of extra stuff that I put on there. But yeah, that's it from me, guys. You take care, and I will talk to you again soon. See you later.